Good morning and hello. This is Kareem again, and today I'll be presenting my answers for the Content Design Challenge. So, first off, I started with this structure or with this plan for the challenge for the first task. And I started by understanding first the users at the time, how the products were, how people were usually guided to use new products. And yeah, then I moved on to set goals and things that the box needs to achieve. I then moved on to the ideation phase. I did a lot of brainstorming and then picked some ideas and took them as the final idea, which I liked most. I refined them too. So, yeah, let's go to the understanding part. And first, I did some research on America back at the time. And three main things really grabbed my attention, which is the first thing is the literacy and language, and that 83% of Americans were literate, but reading skill varied. So that made me set the bar at, for example, third grade language skills so that it's easier for everybody. But still, with other groups, for example, 70% of immigrants were literate, many didn't even read English, and only 30% of Black Americans were literate. So that signaled to me right away that I have to communicate with these people to be inclusive of everyone. I have to communicate in another way that's not just words or not just the user manual. But anyway, uh, then I moved on. I created like a criteria or a section that's called onboarding standards, which I looked up how other companies and other products were doing it, how they were introducing people to new products and how to use them. For example, sewing machine, phonogram, a lot of stuff that was at the time maybe a bit earlier. And through the research, I found out that manuals were the main way people learn new tech, and it was much more important back in the day than it is now. And there were also illustrated inbox instructions, and it was standard and expected, which is really good. And then, lastly, the access and economic realities. So, most people had very low income. This would be important later because you have to pay for calls. You have to basically pay for every phone call you make. I don't know how it was back in the day, but I know that you had to pay. And 72% of the people lived in rural areas, which is far from any help or any store they can go to and ask for help on how to use the phone. So it was not an option, um, for example, to teach people in person or something. So it had to be something in the box. Um, so I figured out that the box must do these four things. First one is explain clearly what a telephone is and how to use it, and it needs to work without reading. You need to kickstart the using the phone, or you need to like start using it without having to read, and it needs to be inclusive of all classes, races, and literacy levels, and it needs to feel safe to try. So I did a lot of brainstorming here. These are some of the ideas I came up with, and these are the most convincing ones, really. And then I filtered them a little bit, and then came up with this. So this is the final box. Of course, we have the telephone itself. We have the user manual on the top right. On the top left, we have a quick guide, which is a small version of the user manual that is just using illustration, no text. It just shows through drawings how to set up the phone and use it for the first time. And this is also here in the middle on the right. This is a telephone, like a card. This is like a concept I made. It's like a card that welcomes you to the new age of the telephone, and it says on the card that for the first week the calls are free. So this encourages the user to try without being afraid that maybe too many calls would result in a high bill in the end of the month, or maybe he can be using it wrong and he needs to pay in the end. So this makes the user more, um, let's say, not afraid to try, and encourages the user to try and go there and figure out how it works. Of course, after using the quick guide, there's also a kit included in the box that shows you how to set up that like helps you to set up the telephone, whether you want to hang it or put it on a table. And there's also a notebook, a phone book, and a pen. I know back at the time there wasn't phone numbers. You just lift off the speaker and an operator talks to you and asks you who you want to call. But still, this can be really useful because people can use it to type the name of a doctor, for example, or the name of the family members who can use the phone, the names of people they can call. It's more than just the phone numbers. They can also write the areas to be very specific when they talk to the instructor or the operator. I'm sorry. And then there's this card. It's called telephone troubleshooting, and it basically it's like a frequently asked questions, but it solves like frequent problems. It shows the user how to solve the frequent problems and what to look for. For example, there is no signal, so maybe look for the wire, or maybe you're screaming in the mic, maybe this and that. So it like guides the user on how to solve the most frequent problems or issues. So yeah, that's it for the task one. Now, for this second task, please forgive me on how bad it looks. I was just trying to show the concept, trying to show what it would look like. And basically, here on the left screen, on the first one, I picked out the checkout moment, the checking out moment, and because it's the most emotional part of the user journey, and it's where users usually make a choice. And for example, down here it says that you're saving this amount of e-waste and this amount of CO2, and it compares it to something tangible like a car ride, for example, skipping a car ride, like that's 50 kilometers, um, or compares it to something else like on the other screen, like a flight, for example, from Berlin to Paris. And this makes the user feel good about their choice right away, and that buying refurbished isn't just smart, but that it's also impactful. And this makes it personal a little bit and makes the user feel good about their choice, and that it's not just about buying a device, it's more than that, and it speaks for the mission of back market. And for the second screen, it's very very similar to the first screen, but it's just more focused on the long term, and it makes it feel like a mission, and it creates an emotional connection between the user and back market. um, so it gives the user like this sense of ownership and pride, that it's not just shopping, it's something bigger than shopping. And so yeah, this is basically the stuff I came up with. I really, really hope you like it. And I can't wait to hear your opinion about it. And I'm very sorry if this took a long time. And yeah, thank you so much. I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you.